Orchids galore. More than 1,000 blooming orchids are on display now at the Olbrich Botanical Gardens as part of the Orchid Escape. And this year you'll see dinosaurs roaming the Bowles Conservatory as well. The theme celebrates the Cretaceous period in time. That's when the very first flowering plants were uncovered more than 70 million years ago. Organizers say it's fun to share a bit of scientific history along with this blooming display.
Our team sort of used it as an entryway to sort of share more information about the evolution of plants as well. A lot of folks don't realize how old some of the plants that are still here on the earth today are.
You can enjoy the Orchid Escape until March 3rd. After that, the Bowles Conservatory will be closed for maintenance until mid-June.